Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss about a very important topic about latest USCIS policy updates. I have mentioned a lot of details on the policy updates. Today we are going to discuss about how the biometrics will impact H1B, H4, EAD, L1, L2 and green card process, and how this new process will delay the processing time and how the people get ready themselves. So a lot of details we are going to discuss today, and also online presence screening. Whether does it apply only for the visa stamping or any visa extension inside the USA. We have a lot of queries around that. Today we are going to discuss all the questions with our attorney Henry. He is from Manifest Law, and Manifest Law is giving a free consultation for any visa queries and green card queries. You have a QR code on your screen, just scan it and use it. Hi Henry, welcome to the show and thanks for your time. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கீங்க.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Henry. And today we are going to discuss about the latest policy updates from the USCIS. It says like we are going to strengthen the vetting and screening process. Can you please give us the overview?
Brief background is basically that last year we had a number of executive orders. We had multiple travel bans, and then we had pauses or freezes on processing of cases for certain people from different countries. The justification for those freezes or pauses was that there's not enough security. We have people in the country that we don't know who they are or if they truly are safe. Do they have a criminal background? Things like that. And then now the recent update is that as a result of these pauses, they have been reviewing what are their systems, and they are basically saying it's not enough. What we're currently doing is not enough. It's not keeping us safe, and we want to do more. Exactly what that more is and how much it will be, what are the new systems that they will be creating, that's still a little bit unclear. They do provide some information about increased collaboration between different agencies, including the law enforcement, but only time will tell what exactly that means.
Cool. And a lot of people asked about this question because a lot of people applied for H4 and H4 EAD. Whether the biometric is always mandated now for the H4 EAD?
It's not always mandated. If they have the biometrics from a previous case, then they might be able to still reuse it. But I do think that there's probably going to be less of that. Then it's going to become more common that every case is going to have biometrics requirement, just because they will not trust the old data anymore. They just keep wanting to get newer and newer biometrics.
Okay. The previous case, does it mean like if someone went to the India for the visa appointment and they have given the biometric like fingerprints and the photo, so whether they will take those details?
Although the new policy does say there will be increased data sharing between different agencies, at least until now, I've never seen USCIS access the biometrics from the Department of State, because these are two separate agencies. I have seen situations where somebody may be filed for different change of status or application previously, and then when they now file for their OPT or some other like asylum EAD or whatever it might have been, then I've seen USCIS say, we are reusing your biometrics. Or I've seen it when somebody has a green card already and then they apply for naturalization. Then I see a notice coming from USCIS that says, we are using your biometrics from your adjustment of status to also do the background check for the naturalization. But I've never seen them reuse data from the embassy. Maybe this will change here now, because the USCIS does have data sharing with the Department of State. But usually the data moves in a different direction. So the most common way they share data is USCIS sending an update to the Department of State about an approved petition or an approved application, right? But it's not so much coming from the other way, right? There's not that much data coming from the Department of State to USCIS. So I would be very surprised if somebody gets their case moving faster just because they did biometrics at the embassy.
Yeah, it makes sense, Henry. Thank you. And we discussed about H4 EAD, whether H4, say example, someone is going for the just like H4 extension or L2 extension, whether they will get the biometrics as well?
Sadly, I think yes. I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but I think that was happening in the last Trump administration. That every single filing required biometrics. They just basically stopped giving exceptions. So I do think right now they're just increasing the requirements as much as possible. Of course, we don't know how long this is going to last. Maybe in 2 years it's going to be a new president and a new policy again. But right now, I would say be prepared for a lot of biometrics for almost everything.
So when we say the lot of biometrics, whether we can expect some biometric appointment delay?
Yeah, that's possible. That like with the social media vetting at the consular side, that if they say now we're going to do way more biometrics, then there's two things that are going to happen. Number one, it might be more difficult to get an appointment to actually go and do the biometrics. And number two, it might take longer for the FBI background checks to be completed. So right now, the way the background checks work is they get sent to the FBI database, and then most of them come through an automation, and there's nothing that the humans need to do, so they can go pretty fast. But if there is any reason in the system where there's a flag or some kind of question, then it also needs manual intervention. And that's usually where the backlog starts, is that if there's manual steps needed in the workflow, then you're going to be waiting maybe several weeks or even several months before somebody sends a manual update to USCIS saying that here's what we found. And then the USCIS officer has to okay that before the case moves forward.
Thanks, Henry, for giving overview about the background check. Someone gets like a driving license speeding ticket. Does it create the red flag?
I don't think a speeding ticket would do anything bad. I would say maybe if there's something more serious, like driving under the influence, drinking and driving, something more serious like that. But general parking ticket, speeding ticket, or running a red light or something like that, I think those are going to be minor things that shouldn't cause any trouble.
So we have discussed all about the dependent visa. Whether H1B or L1 gets the biometrics, it never happens, but I'm just asking.
I wouldn't anticipate those being added there. Of course, it is possible, because what we've seen even with some I-140s from last year is that we file the case and then we get a request from USCIS that says, please come for biometrics, which never happened before. But it was part of an RFE. And then they said, hey, we found something in your case that needs further investigation. Please come for biometrics. Usually it's for people who have some kind of a arrest record or a charge from law enforcement or something like that. So even if they didn't have a criminal conviction, just by having some kind of interaction with law enforcement, it's in the record, and then USCIS is asking people to come do biometrics. So I would anticipate maybe something like this will be more common for the H1B and L1, but I don't think it's going to be every case. It's maybe for case by case, that if they do find something, that they will ask people to come in.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. When they say like we are going to review the online presence or like online screening, it already happened. So what is the additional things they are going to do now?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that they are, collaborating with big data companies like Palantir, right? So what I'm expecting to see in the future is more use of AI. And that means that the USCIS tools for what they will look for and what they will find about you will become better and better. So they might start finding your information even from lesser known sites. Maybe they will find what you're posting in some internet forums, even if it's not something that you listed in your application, less popular places, just to see if you're saying anything that's negative about America or negative against U.S. allies or a political position that sounds extreme, depending on who's reading it, right? Like who interprets it as extreme or not.
Now, for sharing anything that people are getting afraid, even I got a message from one of my friends saying like he's supporting some political party and sharing some post and everything. So he's getting afraid. So does it impact anything his visa appointment?
I don't think that him expressing an opinion about local election is going to be a negative factor. Of course, if he's supporting a party that is associated with some kind of criminal or terrorist activities, that would be a problem, right? Like if somebody is in Lebanon posting about how they love Hezbollah, then that's probably going to be a problem for their visa application later or something like that. But in India, I'm not familiar with the local politics there, but I'm not sure. Do you have any kind of extreme parties, that are doing something crazy, or is it more just policy differences on differences of opinion, right? As long as the difference of opinion is kind of safe and civil, meaning that nobody is saying let's kill the other guys or something like that, I think you're going to be fine.
So one of my friend asked this question. So what are the impacts on green card application after this policy changes?
I think the main thing is just going to be more closely looking at the biometrics, doing the background checks, and then potentially we could see an increase in denials of adjustment of status applications, just like we've seen now. People from some countries getting RFEs when they do a change of status to a different visa category. I think something similar might happen with the adjustment of status cases, that they say, hey, adjustment of status is discretionary. Please explain to us why are you the kind of person that should be allowed to stay here, and why should we approve the adjustment of status, right? Because USCIS doesn't have to approve an adjustment of status case. They can, but it is something that they have the discretionary authority to decide yes or no. So if they want to, they can make that more strict and say, we're just not approving your AOS. We want you to go and do consular processing. So we could see some increases in there, but I don't know really. Am I being too scared, or is this actually something that's likely to happen? I'm not sure.
Okay, this is also case by case will vary, right? So it's not for everyone. It depends on
exactly.
it depends on the status and depends on the FBI records and so many factors involved in that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what I've seen in the last 6 months with these RFEs for change of status cases is if somebody is from a country that is in one of the travel ban documents, then USCIS basically says that change of status is discretionary. Please give us any discretionary factors, any positive factors that you might have that show us like why should we make this an approval for you. And I've seen people submit cases or responses where they include information about any volunteering, community service, if you are part of any organizations doing something good for your community. Are you part of religious organizations? Do you attend your temple or your church regularly? Maybe some recommendation letters, like character references from religious leaders saying that yes, this person comes to my church regularly and is very kind and caring person and helpful for the community, things like that. So stuff that we didn't really think about a couple of years ago, but now this is the kind of evidence that I've been collecting for some of my clients' cases.
Thanks, Andy. Last, I have one question. When we talk about the online presence screening on everything, so we talk about the visa appointment. Will applicable for the visa extension, say someone is in H1B here and they are applying for the extension, whether they need to change their social media post into the public at the time of applying the extension?
Every time that you want to get a new visa stamp, you have to make sure that when you are submitting the DS-160, you also follow those instructions of turning your profiles public. So if you come back in on the new H1B, again, you can turn it back to private. But when you go again for another visa stamp, again, you should change it back to public and give them a chance to do the review.
Yeah, visa stamping is fine. So if someone is applying the visa extension from inside the USA, what about that scenario?
Actually, I'm not sure how much USCIS is doing right now, the social media vetting. As far as I know, they haven't publicly said everybody must turn it. We will see soon once they start implementing the new processes. I could see a few different things happening. Maybe we will get a new policy update from USCIS where they say, please turn it to public. Maybe we will start seeing RFEs where the RFE says, please turn it to public, and then we will process the case.
Definitely, at some point of time, USCIS will ask that one. But thank you so much, Henry. It's a very good session, and you shared a lot of things, and it was really helpful. Thank you so much, Henry.
My pleasure. Always good to see you.
Nandri.
Nandri.